Good evening and welcome to American Dreamers, a radio talk show passionately dedicated to celebrating, supporting, and connecting small business right here on 55 KRC, the talk station. You can also hear us on the World Wide Web at americandreamers.biz. That's americandreamers.biz for Business Improvement Zone. Or business. Either one. You could go with either one. I'm Tom Tassett.
And I'm Sunho Donovan, and today we have with us Michael Saracen of Soapbox Cincinnati, a very cool new news gathering or online magazine, I think is more a better description for them. But he'll be joining us in a little bit and telling us about Soapbox and some of the news and some of the focuses that it has that's separate and different from any of the others that we currently enjoy.
It's my new favorite online publication.
They have great articles, and they have a great focus on local neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
They have a similar mission to one of our recent partners, SINBA, Greater Cincinnati Independent Business Alliance. Their website it used to be gcinba.org, and I think that it's been moved over to cinba.org. But I'll give you a better clarification on that on our website. But anyways, you could just Google them and you'll find them. They also have a good Facebook presence, and their focus, being a nonprofit organization, is really to support and nurture and, sort of continue the path of success for small businesses by focusing on locals, like businesses that are in your neighborhoods and in your communities. And they've recently had a very successful event, a week-long event. They just sort of finished that last week, called Buy Cincy. So they had a variety of different events in East Walnut Hills and in Oakley and some other great neighborhoods, sort of highlighting, places that you don't know that are right there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Pretty neat stuff. So we get a lot of email on the show here, people that listen and they want to be part of the show. And a lot of times they're asking for autographed pictures and things like that. But this one here is from a lady by the name of, I'm assuming it's a lady because her name is Amanda. And Amanda has a dry cleaner in Westchester. And her question is this: I want to have a video for my business, but I can't afford a pro. If I do it myself, what should I know about? And I'm going to defer to you since you have a video production company.
Yeah, you can do it by yourself. I mean, a lot of people do. I guess you can see YouTube is full of it. But I guess I would say to you that you have to you can do it, but you have to keep a couple of things in mind. One is, do try to get a real camcorder to do it. Don't do it on your iPhone or your smartphone or whatever. Those are great for like family stuff and things you want to share online. But if you wanted to have like a decent level of quality, do it on a camcorder. And there are some really, kind of cheap ones out there that'll give you like a 1080 resolution for your website.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is audio. Sound is really important. Sometimes sound is what can make something feel really amateur or really kind of sleek and professional. So if you don't have a way to, microphone what you want to film, just try to make sure you control the environment. Keep it in a quiet place, or don't use sound at all. Like do a voiceover to stuff that you're shooting. So if you have a dry cleaners, what might be nice is for people to see what your place looks like. You can show them how clean it is and the kind of technology you use. You can see where it's located on the street, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So shooting that kind of stuff, you can do that, and then just sort of have music or do a voiceover of yourself talking about these sort of things on top of it.
If somebody's camera shy, would it be a good idea for them to, hire an actor or an actress, or should they? Does it make it more sincere if you do it yourself?
I think it's more sincere. I mean, visual image is the way to connect people. So they want to see your face. They want to see the owner. I understand about being camera shy. I don't like being on camera myself.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I think it's because people don't like how their image appears. And a couple of things that you can do is hire a stylist or get somebody who's really good at that to just make sure that your hair looks nice and that your clothes look nice. And the other way you could do that is to not have a close-up of yourself. You can have like a shot of yourself standing in front of the office or the business, or, with you and a few other people, so you feel like the attention isn't completely just on you. I guess you could also use sort of like a static photo of yourself, one that you think looks nice. You could use that as part of the video.
I have a friend that has a business, and he puts videos online all the time, and probably 2 or 3 a month. And he shoots them he just sits behind his desk and he shoots them with a webcam. And it kind of looks like he's doing it with a webcam. So do you do more harm than good with that?
I think it really, that depends on who you are, what your personality is like, and what your business is like. Sometimes those ones can make it really feel, I don't know, like
cheesy,
but real. It's like, if you're kind of like an in-your-face, kind of funny car mechanic or an accountant, and you're a little hammy, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That style is going to help convey your personality as well.
Yeah. What about the length of the video? Do you want a lot of content in there? Do you want it to go on for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 10 minutes? What is there a rule of thumb on how long the video should be?
You mean like your video?
My video, for instance. I could see it going on and on and on.
For your video, I would recommend a 64 gig card.
Is that right? And maybe a hair artist or something.
I think if you're making a video, you should not think about how long does it have to be. It doesn't have to be any length. It has to be interesting. Mm-hmm. That's the important part. Sort of if you're doing a tour of the facility, show the facility and tour it. But shorter is generally better because, people don't want to see something for that long. If you do a quick shot of it, it's actually more powerful than if you sort of linger it.
So if you have more to say, then maybe you say everything that you need to, but you edit it down to bite-sized bits. So you're releasing part 1 of my series on insurance in America.
I feel something happening to your website. Yeah, tips are great, especially if you're trying to generate what they call organic content, so that your website comes up higher and higher in search rankings. So a lot of people do that. They do monthly or bi-monthly tips where they talk about this new thing or that new thing, and that's fantastic. But getting back to Amanda and the dry cleaning, if you're trying to do this yourself, really want to just keep it very simple. You don't want to have to go into doing any editing. That's why if you can just sort of do one shot, or you can do a one take where it's just you talking, or touring your office, or testimonials. Those are great.
Customers come in
if
and
you
say
can get
how
a customer
great it is.
one little clip, boom, 30 seconds. That'll be great. Do a couple of those. But those are good ways to use video, and there are ways to do it by yourself.
Okay. Great information, Sunho. Thank you. Appreciate that. When we come back, we'll be talking to Michael Saracen of Soapbox Cincinnati. If you haven't checked them out online yet, you should do so. Great, what do you call that? Online rag publication. And with good information about the city of Cincinnati. You're listening to American Dreamers on 55 KRC, the talk station. Welcome back to American Dreamers on 55 KRC, the talk station. You can also hear us on the World Wide Web at americandreamers.biz. That's americandreamers.biz for Business Improvement Zone or business.
That's not what you usually say.
I know. I usually say bring in the zebras.
I know,
or
you're switching stuff around.
Yeah,
that's
or
good.
big, icky zippers. But it's biz, not com. So
that's right. Well, that's good. I think people get it by now.
Yeah. I'm Tom Tassett.
And I'm Sunho Donovan. And I want to take a moment out right now. This is our traditional spot where we pause to reflect with gratitude.
A moment of silence for our sponsors.
That's moment of silence. That's kind of like a downer thing, isn't it?
I guess it could be, or pay respect for. Okay,
think of a
let's do it your
when
way.
You say that. Oh, okay. So let's reflect with gratitude. Our sponsors, Motorist Mutual Insurance Agency, which is one of the largest in the Midwest.
Insurance company, right?
Sorry, insurance company.
Yeah.
I always Love those.
I'm just clearing it up because they're listening to us.
Sorry, guys. Motorist Mutual Insurance Company, one of the largest Midwest insurance companies, and you probably don't hear their commercials on radio or see their ads on TV because they don't spend their money that way. They sell their policies completely through independent insurance agencies who are there to serve you based on where you live, because those are the neighbors that you have. They know what you need better than someone in a corporate box somewhere doing algorithms on their computer. So thank you, Motorist Mutual Insurance Company, and also thank you, HTT Agency, a great local independent agency that's owned by Tom Tassett here.
I thought they sounded familiar.
You sounded familiar,
Yeah,
right. So that Alzheimer's hasn't fully kicked in yet.
It's just part-timers, not all-timers.
That's right, it's part-timers.
But anyway,
Terrible.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So call them, 741-2100, 741-2100. See what they can do for you.
All right. I will. I'll call them right after the show.
And check in.
Yeah, check in.
That's good. Don't let that part-timers kick you around.
Never.
All right. So today we have with us in the studio, we have with us a journalist. So we better be on our toes.
We should be. He's
Tom.
Taking notes.
I know. He's going to critique us afterwards.
Yeah.
What he doesn't know is that we're not really involved. We're not
real radio people.
Magazines.
We're just enthusiasts.
There's nothing that's newsworthy.
That's right.
That's right. But anyways, we are with Michael Saracen of Soapbox Media, Cincinnati. Soapbox Cincinnati, right?
Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing?
Pretty good, Michael. Thanks for coming on. And recently became I guess a fan of the publication. And great work that you do. I had no idea you had that much information, and just was very impressed with the publication. Do you call it a publication if it's online?
Yeah, I call it a publication, online publication.
Yeah,
and it's funny to note you guys just said, well, he doesn't know we're just enthusiasts. I mean, that's sort of how I think of myself. I mean, that's how I started out. I was telling you earlier. I mean, I was kind of a soapbox enthusiast for a while before I was actually a contributor. But yeah, Soapbox is an online magazine, online publication that's based on the Cincinnati region, and very much about the developing story of Cincinnati. One phrase that I like to use is like the new narrative, perhaps, of Cincinnati, because Cincinnati is a city that people like to say, the same old thing. It's that Cincinnati being Cincinnati again, or that's just the way things are here. And there's kind of that's sort of a lull that we kind of got ourselves into, of just being okay with things being a certain way. And part of what it drew me to Soapbox initially was that someone was telling a news story, and that there were things that counteracted that whole old hat kind of thing. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to know about this. I want to learn what they're talking about. I want to know who these people are that they're writing about.
Yeah. That's true when you think about it. A lot of people say, well, Cincinnati is 10 years behind the times, but that really is changing. I mean, we're an epicenter for technologically. Say the word, technological innovation, right?
Yeah.
See it all the time. And then there's also the latest and greatest transportation vehicles, like the streetcar.
Coming our way soon.
Right,
yeah.
high-tech streetcar, which, by the way, they're taking credit for GE locating in downtown. They pretty much rest that at the feet of the streetcar.
Sure.
What do you think about that? No, we don't want to get into politics here.
Yeah. So we can maybe get into that then. I don't know. But
I think it's relevant. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, people have an opinion about it.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, I think the streetcar has potential to be a game changer in Cincinnati, and I think that it's clear that transportation is something that people care about, and especially young people, which is something that Cincinnati's really needs to care about and needs to cater towards. That's what they talk about. They talk about attracting and retaining talent, right? New talent, keep making sure that our local talent is staying here, and I think that's I mean, I don't know if I'm going out on a limb too far to say, but I feel like that's something of the younger generation, is that they care about, transportation options that work. And, in most big cities that you can go to, you can get around without a car in some kind of way. And Cincinnati's still working on that.
Yeah.
So I think that, the streetcar definitely has potential to address that. And with GE coming in downtown, I think that hopefully will get more people on board. Because I think that, for the streetcar to be a success, I think that we all kind of have to make it a success,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a guaranteed home run like some people do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really going to take us all, just getting behind it,
Yeah.
Some people may not have been, on the picket line fighting for it the entire way, but it's coming. So, and it is using our money. So we better make sure that we're, on board.
Yeah.
Right. So it's time to get out of the way and try to get on it.
Right.
Instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm one of those people that I think used to be in the way. And I'm now at least stepping aside to a
But I think you weren't for it because of the way the finances were shaped.
That's
to bring that about.
exclusively what it was.
Yeah.
No doubt it would be
there's
something cool.
I don't think there's any argument. I don't think anybody objects to the idea of having something like that
Right.
for the city. But the way that they got it.
Yeah,
to
and I
come
mean,
about, sort of
even I had some qualms
questionable.
about the how it was being done or where it's going to go or this or that. But like I said, it's like at this point it's going to happen, and so I think the best thing we can do is get behind it and ensure that it's a success.
Yeah.
Right. Make it the best. So, so getting back to Soapbox,
Yeah.
though, we're sort of talking around it a little bit, but so Soapbox online magazine, focused solely in the Cincinnati area,
Right.
But tell me really,
/ Northern Kentucky.
and greater Cincinnati regional area, they need to call it something different, like Cincinnati,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that people know.
Right.
But anyways, there's really a different flavor when you read the news, the articles, the things that Soapbox sort of focuses on. It's very different than some of the others. Can you help give us an idea of like why
Sure.
that's different, or
Yeah.
what Soapbox focuses on?
So I'll kind of relate it to my personal story again, just because I grew up here. I moved away for college in Chicago at DePaul, and then I came back in 2009. Soapbox started in 2008, so it's still kind of getting its footing. But I was looking for something. I was like, I knew there were things happening in Cincinnati. I heard people talking about it, but I couldn't find that source that really could turn me on to it. And when I found Soapbox, that was it. And I think that speaks to what you're talking about, is that it really, like I said, it speaks to that new narrative, and it talks about, the entrepreneurs that are really changing the region, that are bringing in entire new business sectors into Cincinnati. It talks about the nonprofits that are leading the way in their industry. And it talks about neighborhoods. Really, that was another thing that I was talking about before, is, it'll do whole sections on neighborhoods in Cincinnati, which, Cincinnati is a city of neighborhoods, and highlight things going on in places that, frankly, I'd maybe have been through, but didn't know that, like Brighton, for instance. That was the example that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I remember when Soapbox did a section on the Brighton area, which is, down around Central Parkway, just outside of downtown over the Rhine. And, I'd been to gallery sort of things at the Mockbee, which is like an old brewery, I believe, down there on Central Parkway. But I didn't know that area had a name, and then I found out that not only is there that, but there's other art galleries, there are other small venues there are other
Right.
local artists that are using those spaces, and those are the kind of things that I think Cincinnati really needs to be talking about, is that we're a cool city, we're an interesting city, we're a weird city. I think being weird is something that's great.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
I think that we need to shine a light on the fact that we're a diverse city, and that has, a lot more going on than I think people think. People think of it in that old kind of way, and I don't think that it's like that anymore.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, so change your mind.
Right.
Change your
read
mind.
Soapbox.
Exactly.
So
Soapbox.
we're talking to Soapbox Cincinnati. We'll be back in just a few moments. You're listening to American Dreamers on 55 KRC, the talk station. Welcome back to American Dreamers on 55 KRC, the talk station. You can also hear us on the World Wide Web at americandreamers.biz. That's americandreamers.biz for business. And I'm Tom Tassett.
And I'm Sunhow Donovan. And you can go to that website and listen to your favorite podcasts over and over and over again. Because
My
they live there
favorite one
forever.
is Big Fish Farms. That's my favorite one. I listen to it 3 times a week, probably.
Do you?
No. But it's a good one.
That's because she was really cute.
She was kind of cute.
Renee Kerner. She was very cute.
Plus she
She's
was into
doing
fish.
well. Actually, I got an email from her. Anyways.
All right.
So AmericanDreamers.biz is where we also have all of our previous show podcasted, and some of the videos are there as well, so you can look at it. And you can also find us on iTunes.
Are we on iTunes?
We're free.
Really?
On iTunes.
Oh, so you don't have to buy our
No,
episodes.
you don't have to buy our
We should
podcasts.
sell them. My
To
mom
who?
would buy one.
Yeah, it's true. Your mom would
Yeah.
buy one.
Yeah. So
How much do you think she'd pay?
whatever we're charged, she'll buy anything I'm selling. So
Anyways, welcome back. If you've missed the first half of the show, too bad. You can go back to our website and listen to it. But we have been talking with Michael Saracen of Soapbox Cincinnati. It's a cool new periodical. It's an online magazine, and here is what is said. This is kind of from their parent group. The founding group is called Issue Media. They're based out of Detroit, but they do produce over 21 separate regional online magazines throughout the U.S. and Canada. Their main focus is to cover what's next in cities. They are creating new narratives. That's a phrase that Michael talked about. They're creating new narratives that document transformation and growth. They identify influencers, who are the change makers, and leaders who are moving city cultures forward. They cover micro-investment and job creation and development, and they map small transactions that end up creating large-scale impact and change.
you want to know?
IMG provides hyper-local, I love that word, hyper-local engagement with all stakeholders.
Nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
It's fancy. It's fancy talk. But it's kind of what we've been talking about with Michael.
Yeah.
So before we went to the break, Tom asked you a question of, like, what other neighborhoods other than Brighton that we had talked
Right.
about did you discover through Soapbox?
Right. So, yeah, and I wasn't necessarily that there were other ones that I had never heard of, but, there were many that it forced me to look at differently. And one such would be Price Hill. Price Hill, on the west side, I grew up an east sider, and, anyone who's listening to this who grew up or has lived in Cincinnati for any amount of time, that there's, a west side, east side thing here. And so, you kind of think about the west side in one sort of way as like this whole blob, and everything that's there is like this, and the people don't leave, and whatever it is. But, reading about it in Soapbox, it's like, oh, wow, there's artisans here. There's entrepreneurs here. There's, new nonprofits here. There's, there's people doing all sorts of things, right? And really trying to lift that neighborhood up. And that's really another great thing that I like about Soapbox is the hyper local. It's funny. I was sitting there listening to that description, and I have to say, and even if I wasn't writing for Soapbox, I think I could say this with a clean conscience that is 100% what we do, and that that's 100% true. That the way we, the mission and our execution of it, I think that's really accurate. And I've found a lot of these key stakeholders in the community, key movers and shakers through reading Soapbox, through combing through these articles and seeing names that keep appearing, and like, oh wait, what's the Hale Foundation? Why, oh, now I know that there's so many great things that they're a part of. And I know about cool nonprofits like My Cincinnati, which is located in Price Hill, which is an after school music program that's giving kids in the Price Hill community a chance to really learn music at a high level, and that program is taking off. I mean, it's maybe 2 years old. I don't know, maybe less.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things. Another sort of this away from Price Hill, but just a story that I got to cover recently. I was telling you before is our opera, the Cincinnati Opera, was recently awarded a $50,000 grant from Opera for America, which is like a national organization, as like a revolutionary grant for this thing that they're building called the Opera Express, and which is going to be essentially like a large, like an 18-wheeler bus that they're going to drive around the city.
Tom, it's not a trolley.
It's
a bus.
No, it's not a streetcar.
And they're going to do basically short 15, 20-minute operas in this, inside of it,
bus.
right? It's going to house like 15 to 20 people at a time.
Wow.
And basically they're going to use it to bring opera to parts of Cincinnati that it, to the people. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, that's one of the things is they're trying to grow opera audience, right? And, there's these barriers to entry that they're encountering, whether it's people don't want to drive downtown or, they think that, it's a few hours to see, maybe I only like this one song or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they were awarded this $50,000 grant, which to me says, the nonprofits in Cincinnati are on the cutting edge of arts nonprofits anywhere in the country, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stories that we need to be talking about. We need to be celebrating. And that's why I think Soapbox is such a great thing, Which, by the way, I don't think we mentioned. The website is www.soapboxmedia.com.
That's right, soapboxmedia.com.
Media, yes. Yes,
not just a writer, but a promoter as well. So
yeah,
multifaceted.
well, it's not unknown to him. He's been a promoter before, right?
Right.
And I find it interesting that some of the things that you've talked about are music related or arts related.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you're a musician as well, aren't you?
I am. I do wear a couple of different hats, and yeah, that's been one of my main ones for a long time.
Really?
Now. Yeah.
So what do you play, instrument wise?
Mm-hmm.
Type of music? What do you do?
Yeah. So that can also vary. I mean, my main group for the past it's weird to say this, but 10 years has been a group called the Pinstripes.
He doesn't look that old, does he?
Well, no.
I mean, you have to be at least 15, right?
Yeah. We started when I was a junior in high school, so
Okay.
16, 15, something like
All
that.
right.
And in that group, I sing and I play saxophone and occasionally flute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes!
Yeah.
Well, there's a flute player right here.
Yeah.
Two flute players.
Exactly. Yeah.
How often does that happen in
I
the
don't
same
know.
studio? Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So in another band.
But the band, is that the Pinstripes that you're talking about?
Yeah, the Pinstripes. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Isn't that with Jack White?
that would be the White Stripes. So I heard
okay.
as the intro music on your show earlier.
That's right.
Yep. But yeah, so it's been been a big part of my life for a long time. I've gotten to see most of this country through that band, travel and play shows in Canada and California and at South by Southwest and all that stuff. So that's been a big thing for me as well. And that's it's been nice kind of to get acquainted with the music community, right? And then also on my other hat, my soapbox hat, know this sort of innovation community and this progressive community and see where they overlap,
Mm-hmm.
Because there are, like I said, there's some innovative arts programs, which I kind of mentioned. And it's funny when you see that, it's like, I see someone in the same, that I saw over here and then I see them here, but there's only a few people and we kind of always like nod to each other like, oh yeah, like you're over at this place too and I know it,
Your life is a Venn diagram.
Right, exactly.
And that center in the middle is getting bigger.
It is, yeah, and it is.
So does a Pinstripe still tour?
So we're not actively touring as much anymore, but we do actually have one big show, which I can just only recently announce. We're going to be playing the Taste of Over the Rhine in Washington Park on Saturday, July 26th, I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that'll be, on the big stage in Washington Park. I think we're playing kind of early. We're around 5:45, so it'll be a nice kind of family hour.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's a free show too. So.
Well,
that's amazing.
My band's playing at an event called Jocktoberfest, which is in some guy's garage. And that's
Man.
true. Second year in a row.
There you
We've been
go.
asked
But
back.
with athletes. You're playing to athletes.
No, they're not really.
Well, Well, that is very cool. Wanted to say, so the arts is a really important part of this revitalization of communities and stuff, right? So as a musician, do you have any thoughts you want to give us about that?
Well, I think that there's just, I could make analogies between, like, so my beat for Soapbox is writing about the innovation news kind of column. Mm-hmm. And then I could make kind of analogies between that sort of ecosystem and the arts ecosystem, because I think there are small groups of people that are really making things move in both realms. But like you said, it's getting bigger and the groups are kind of intermingling, and there's people that are really kind of getting together, and there's a positive forward energy, at least I feel, from both areas. So yeah, I mean, I think that Cincinnati, it's a cool place to be in, and it's so wide open right now. There's so much potential to really do whatever you want. I'm the girl who started My Cincinnati, which is that music program in Price Hill. She's someone who I met right when she moved to town. Like, she moved to town and then started it like a month or two afterwards. And, she's not from here, and she just got that up and running. And now they're, being written up all over the city. They just won some kind of competition. I think some kind of competition that got them, several $1,000s to continue their program. And it's really taking off. And that's really indicative, I think, of the kind of city that we're in, where, it's just right for you to come and, do your thing and get involved, and you can meet these stakeholders pretty easily. It's not such a huge city that, you get kind of lost in the shuffle. And so I think it's a truly amazing place. And I'm lucky that I have a job where I get to talk about that and I get to be a cheerleader.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thank you so much for shining a spotlight through Soapbox Cincinnati on the really cool people, really cool places, and the new things in Cincinnati. Really an honor to have you on the show, and keep up the good work that you're doing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right. You're listening to American Dreamers on 55 KRC, the talk station.